By April 2026, a disturbing trend caught the attention of the highest levels of the federal government. Roughly 10 U.S. science workers had either vanished without a trace or turned up dead. In response to this list of names, Congressman James Comer and Eric Burleson formally demanded agency briefings. Their stated goal was to protect what they called sensitive U.S. scientific information from being compromised. The concern quickly reached the executive branch. Donald Trump publicly weighed in, noting that some of the people on the list were very important. Meanwhile, the White House press secretary vowed that no stone would be left unturned in figuring out what happened to them. To execute that promise, a massive federal apparatus was dragged into the probe. Congress formally requested answers from the FBI, NASA, and the Department of Energy. But we have to look closely at the evidence driving this massive federal response. Is there a genuine, coordinated threat to U.S. national security, or is the government deploying its top agencies to chase a ghost born from internet speculation? This diagram plots out the timeline of the cases in question. The timeline starts in 2023, mapping the deaths of two researchers from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, Michael David Hicks and Frank Mywald. The data then jumps to mid-2025, where we see a sudden cluster of disappearances. Anthony Chavez and Melissa Casius both vanished near the Los Alamos National Laboratory, and Monica Jacinto Reza went missing in California. Moving into the winter of 2025 into 2026, three highly credentialed scientists died: Novartis chemical biologist Jason Thomas, MIT professor Nuno Loureiro, and Caltech astrophysicist Carl Grillmair. Finally, the timeline terminates in early 2026 with the disappearance of retired Air Force General William McCasland. His vanishing was the primary catalyst for the current panic. If a foreign adversary is picking off these individuals to steal sensitive U.S. secrets, they should all share a high-level national security clearance. So let's cross-examine their employment profiles. Some of the victims certainly fit the profile of high-value targets. General McCasland once commanded the Air Force Research Laboratory at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Others on the list were leading astrophysicists and nuclear engineers. But that profile falls completely apart when looking at the rest of the list. Included alongside those senior researchers are civilian workers from Los Alamos. One was a construction foreman and another was an administrative assistant. Grouping an administrative assistant with an Air Force general severely undermines the hypothesis that an organized enemy is specifically targeting classified American secrets. To further test the coordinated assassination theory, we can pull the official police records and look at the exact circumstances surrounding each case. MIT professor Nuno Loureiro was tragically killed when he was caught in a highly publicized mass shooting event at Brown University. The shooter killed another entirely unrelated person and left videos that revealed zero motive. Caltech astrophysicist Carl Grillmair was murdered on his own porch by a suspect with a history of trespassing on his property, who was simultaneously charged in an unrelated carjacking. In Massachusetts, officials suspect zero foul play in the death of scientist Jason Thomas, who disappeared shortly after the profound personal tragedy of losing both of his parents. When we look at the missing persons reports, a similar pattern of mundane tragedy emerges. General McCasland disappeared under a silver alert, a specialized advisory strictly utilized by authorities for seniors or individuals experiencing cognitive decline or medical issues. The other disappearances completely lack any signs of espionage. Monica Jacinto Reza vanished while on a recreational hike in California. Melissa Casius was simply last seen walking along a highway in New Mexico. When subjected to basic cross-examination, the evidence shows random accidents, medical decline, and entirely unrelated acts of criminal violence. These disparate tragedies share absolutely zero overlap, fully dismantling the idea of a unified plot. The federal government's ongoing probe stands in stark contrast to the testimonies of the people closest to the situation. The victims' own families are actively rejecting the conspiracy narrative. General McCasland's wife publicly pointed out that her husband had been retired for over a decade. His security clearances were severely out of date, making it highly unlikely anyone would kidnap him to extract useless, expired information. The daughter of JPL researcher Michael David Hicks explained that her father died after struggling with known medical issues. She described the idea of a federal investigation into his death as mathematically illogical and even laughable. When elected officials choose to validate internet rumors over the direct, documented testimonies of grieving families, the investigation loses its factual credibility. This illustrates patternicity, the brain stitching unrelated data into a meaningful web. Zooming out, the U.S. science sector employs hundreds of thousands. In this massive sample, daily turnover from medical issues or violence is a constant reality, driven by mathematical chance, not a shadow operation. The lasting significance of these 10 cases has nothing to do with stolen secrets or targeted assassinations. Instead, it serves as a warning about how easily human tragedy can be weaponized by internet speculation into a sweeping, unfounded federal panic.